Someone asks a girl if she likes a book written specially for her. She replies that the book is interesting for her and that she likes the main character the most. "She's my favorite too," says the man. Hero of the book. Enoch Silas was able to defeat the evil dragon and save the continent because the main character was next to him. The most brilliant sorceress in the world, beloved of Enoch, crown prince of the empire, who will soon become empress, Elizabeth Lilly. The girl notices that the main character has the same name as her. The man assures that she noticed correctly because the main character is she, Elizabeth. Suddenly, a little girl wakes up thinking that she had another dream in which a certain person tells her that she is the main character. She constantly dreams of the same dream. A man appears in it and shows her the book. Its title is The Story of Walfer, the story of the crown prince of the Alpenia Empire, Enoch Silas, who saved the continent from an evil dragon along with his comrades, changing his own destiny. She and the main character of the book, Elizabeth Lilly, share one story between them. The girl was born in a small but very peaceful village. But one day, sectarians who worship the devil came there and killed all the villagers. One of them, brandishing a weapon and shouting for the girl to give up her life for the sake of the master, intends to kill her. However, suddenly, a spirit appeared in front of the cultist and intended to protect the young lady. The villains were able to kill every spirit who tried to protect the girl, receiving for this a magic stone, for which they could get a lot of money. The sectarians began to think, and these spirits took a breather. Suddenly, the thought came to them that they had not touched only the little lady. Thus, they guessed that she could call them and hid her in the lair. The girl, imprisoned within 4 walls, notices that the full moon has arrived, which means that today the villains will force her to call upon the spirits. She becomes very scared. Remembering the contents of the book, she hopes that someone will save her, but this is just a story from a book. A sectarian comes to her cell and intends to take the girl to a certain place. While he drags her, she screams for mercy. The man gets tired of hearing about this and pushes her. When the girl falls, she randomly ends up next to a corpse. Seeing this, she begins to scream in horror. The cultist picks her up and says that they have prepared a lot of corpses, and if she does not want to finish the same, then she needs to immediately call upon the evil spirits. Children, adults. It doesn't matter to them who they kill. The closer the full moon, the more bodies there are. The girl wonders how many more people should die and how long she should suffer. She is so tired that she thinks it would be better to just die. The girl remembers the words of the man from the dream, who tells her not to worry. The main character will not appear immediately, but that same person will definitely save her. Suddenly, someone attacks the sectarians, and they try to defend, but they fail. When you meet this person, you will recognize him immediately, because he will be more beautiful than anyone she has ever seen, says the man from the dream. A girl, seeing a guy unknown to her, immediately remembers the words spoken in a dream, believing that he is her savior. Looking at her savior, she's surprised by his beauty, similar to the Milky Way that she once saw. She wonders if this was described in the book. She saw something similar inside the evil spirits, but it was not as beautiful as the guy's. "So it's true," the boy says, staring at the girl. Hearing these words, the heroine remembers that this phrase was in the book. Thus, she decides that he is the same person from the story. Ashalot Vane is the strongest battle mage of the 12th and a graduate of the Axiom School, one of the 7 schools of magic. It is often called Axiom School's destructive weapon and Punisher. As one of the magician comrades of Enoch, the main character of The Tale of Walfer, he was known as a heartless man. In addition, Ashalot was both Elizabeth's benefactor and her enemy. If you ask Elizabeth why she hated him, her answer will be that their first meeting was terrible. In the book, she, afraid of the guy, called upon evil spirits to attack him. Resistance, of course, was pointless, according to her. That's why Ashalot wanted to kill her at first. Not only because of hostility, but also because summoning evil spirits is considered a serious crime and implies immediate execution. However, the girl decides that she does not need to be afraid, knowing that the guy will not harm her. But she's still scared. Suddenly, Ashalot asks her if he likes candy. From his clothes, he takes out priceless lilac candies that can be used instead of a magic potion. The girl decides that he wants to restore her magical power and then use her for his own purposes. Ashalot eats one of the candies and then offers it to the heroine. Seeing this, she thinks he is trying to calm her down. When she eats it, the girl experiences great pleasure from the too wonderful taste. However, the candy is also very sticky and sweet, according to her. Ashalot asks if the girl speaks the state language. Hearing a positive answer, he also asks what her name is. Elizabeth remembers that Enoch gave her the surname Lily later. If you follow the original plot, she only needs to give her name, but she wonders if anything will happen if she says her last name a little earlier. As a result, the girl answers with her full name along with her last name. Noticing that she has a surname, Ashalot decides that she is an aristocrat, but the heroine denies this. The guy also becomes interested in how she ended up here, and Elizabeth says that she was almost sacrificed, but then she called upon evil spirits, and the sectarians dragged her into the lair. Have you summoned evil spirits? Showing interest, Ashalot asks the following question. The girl decides that everything will be fine. Even if the calling of evil spirits is a crime, he will not kill her, because she is a sorceress with the Eye of Truth, so she firmly answers yes to this question. The Eye of Truth is an ability that allows you to see the true name and essence of a spirit at a glance. It takes decades for even the most experienced wizards to acquire the talent of understanding at first sight. In the 800-year history of magic, there are not even a dozen such masters. That's how rare and valuable this ability is. Therefore, he will not kill her because of some kind of summoning of spirits. Ashalot asks how she realized that they were evil spirits. The girl replies that the sectarians told her so. The guy asks if she has any things that she wants to take. Finding out that there is no, he uses magic, and the limiter from her neck breaks, and she also becomes clean. The girl remembers how it was written in the book that Ashalot hates dirt. She decides that she was so dirty that he used cleansing magic. Suddenly for her, the guy takes her in his arms and teleports up. She is surprised that they were transported in the blink of an eye. Ashalot warns that now they will teleport again, so he asks her not to go crazy. After they were transported again, Elizabeth felt sick and had to go behind a tree. Because of this, the girl wonders if the guy might be angry that she got dirty again. Stretch out both hands, Ashalot asks, causing the heroine to shudder. She begins to wonder why he asked for this, assuming that he will only let her go when he cuts off her hands. Still, she stretches out her hands, and with the help of magic, Ashalot summons purified water that you can safely drink. After she drinks the water and feels refreshed, the guy picks her up again, and the girl decides that they are going to teleport again, but surprisingly, he just goes. Ashalot tells her to sleep, but Elizabeth claims she doesn't want to, but falls asleep anyway. The heroine has not yet fully recovered from sleep, which is why she becomes interested in where the light in the cave comes from. When she fully wakes up, she notices that Ashalot is not nearby and begins to shout to him. Elizabeth begins to worry that the guy could leave her, but still reassures herself that he would not do that. In the book, the girl herself ran away from him. It was not easy for a child who was treated like a slave to trust anyone. However, he caught her almost immediately, but even after that, the girl tried to sneak away, and this was one of the fatal mistakes in her story. Suddenly, Ashalot comes from the forest, who noticed that the heroine had already woken up. Seeing the guy, Elizabeth intends to shout out her name, but stops in time because she should not know his name yet. Eat, says the boy, holding out a plate of food. The girl asks where he got it from, and he says that he bought it in a neighboring town. The heroine assures Ashalot that since he went to the city, he should have taken her with him. However, he replies that he could not, due to the fact that her mana circle would not withstand teleportation magic. Hearing about this, Elizabeth wonders what the circle of mana is. The girl notices that from such a question, the guy was confused because his swirl trembled. The thought comes to Ashalot that, of course, she is hardly familiar with this word. He says that each human soul has its own circle of mana. Usually for humans, it consists of 12 rings, but for wizards, it can be 13. However, she notices that she only has 2 left. Ordinary people die when their circle is broken, but she is a sorceress, so she managed to survive. The heroine becomes interested, since she can use the broken circle of mana, then why it will not withstand teleportation magic. She remembers that in the book, the girl cast magic without any problems, even when her circle of mana was broken. Ashalot wonders if it's wise to show something like this on the street. Elizabeth, hearing this, decides that he deliberately ignored her question. It clearly shows what will happen to a person who has only 2 rings of mana and the amount of magic required for teleportation. When they touch, the bubble, which played the role of a person with a small number of mana rings, explodes. Elizabeth wonders if it would be the same for her if she teleported. The guy replies that this is how it will happen. The girl understands that nothing will work out for her because she has not yet grown to the level of a great sorceress. Can I get better? The heroine asks Ashalot. He says that when her body heals, The mana circle is naturally restored, so she needs to eat. Elizabeth has moments where she is afraid of Ashalot, just like the girl in the book. But she feels that he cares about her, and her soul becomes easier. She decides that it was not in vain that she ran away from him. In an unknown city, the heroine is surprised by how many people are around, but she wonders where they are. It's been a long time since she left with Ashalot. All these days she ate, slept, and when she was sick, the guy treated her with his healing magic. While she was sleeping, they set off again, but she fell asleep in the forest, but they managed to come to the big city. Elizabeth wonders if she slept, and wonders if the boy walked around all night. He says that not much time has passed, and her mana circle had recovered a little, so it simply moved through the space folding. She becomes interested in what this term means. Ashalot explains that this is one of the types of teleportation magic. This technique is used to move through space in a straight line. Instead of bifurcating the body, she will connect two places. Elizabeth wonders if it's a burden for the guy to talk to her. She asked about this because she noticed how he didn't finish his sentence, and if he was still irritated by her questions, she would sit in silence. Ashalot explains this by saying that she will simply have difficulty understanding most of what he says. He decides to ask if he still wants to have such a meaningless conversation despite this. However, she really wants to listen to him and learn everything from him. It's still difficult for a girl to listen to something she doesn't understand. But she is going to become a great sorceress, so she needs to learn the basics of magic as soon as possible. The guy thinks that she is a strange child because she is interested in the theory of magic, but she didn't even ask the cat and where they were going. Elizabeth didn't even think to ask what she already knew. But in order not to look strange, she assures that she is interested in his name. He says his name and asks to call him simply Ashalot. The girl adds Mr., but the guy insists that it's better just by name. He just asks not to say it when there are people around. Ashalot explains this by saying that they are now in Holland, where the thoroughly rotten elders Lich from Albana rule, and they do not just hate. Holland is a powerful country ruled by 7 immortal magicians known as the Lich Elders. Also located here is Albana, one of the 7th-generation magic schools, which is also the headquarters of a group of magicians called the Control Center. Elizabeth is still interested in why exactly they hate him, and the guy says that he blew off the head of their leader. The girl is also interested in where they are going now. Ashalot tells her that they are going to buy clothes. Suddenly, patterns appear on the wall that the heroine has already seen somewhere. The guy presents the ticket, and suddenly out of nowhere, a gate appears out of thin air. When they go inside, Elizabeth sees a magical mana crystal and is surprised at how big it is. They are greeted by a woman who welcomes them to the Holland branch of the Magic Items department store. Ashalot turns to the woman, asking her to show her travel clothes for the girl. She asks to lower Elizabeth to the ground, and the worker begins to take her measurements. Using magic, she summons many outfits, and the heroine wonders if she really needs to try them all on. "Is this too small?" the guy asks after hearing the young lady's words. The woman overhears their conversation about the small number of outfits and decides that they need to add more, but the girl assures that there are enough of them. Then Ashalot asks to try them on faster, but according to the heroine, the fitting will take forever. Enoch, being obsessed with Elizabeth, bought for her everything that caught his eye. She, of course, cut off all his attempts in the bud every time. When the girl read about this in the story, she was even envious. During the fitting, the worker praises one dress after another and how it looks on the girl. The woman also says that each set had special charms placed on it, so that she would not feel any discomfort when wearing it. Elizabeth intends to ask Ashalot something, but he is the first to ask a question in order to find out if she liked something. The girl is worried that all the outfits are too expensive, but the worker assures that their prices are quite reasonable. The guy asks not to worry about this, because he can easily buy the entire store. Since he said so, the heroine begins to think about the clothes, which are all beautiful, but, in her opinion, do not look like travel clothes. Seeing thoughtful Elizabeth, the boy decides that apparently she didn't like anything, and the woman calls her a picky mistress. Then, the worker decides to show her some more travel clothes. This is the latest kit from Bokpun's workshop. The cape is equipped with protective magic, temperature control magic, and even identity concealment magic. They take this set, and Ashalot asks to bring more clothes. They ended up buying a bunch of stuff. Because of this, the girl assumes that the guy just likes shopping. The woman asks what she should do with the clothes she bought. Should she wrap it right away? Or will she put something on right away, and they choose the second option. The worker takes the girl to the fitting room, but when she looks in, she sees sectarians who order her to summon evil spirits. Trembling with fear, Elizabeth asks the guy to be nearby, and he just needs to respond or just clap his hands. The heroine continues to apologize, and Ashalot says that's enough and snaps her fingers. Immediately after this, Elizabeth appears in her new clothes, which the guy put on her using magic. She assumes it's because all the clothes they bought have enchantments on them. Once they are done with the shopping, Ashalot asks to bill them for everything. The worker intends to write everything down to the Aragald Association of Magicians. However, Ashalot asks not to do this, which the woman is surprised at because he has always used this account. Having paid for everything, they leave the store, and everything now becomes clear to the girl. She remembers the coat of arms of Devarim, one of the 7 magical schools where wizard engineers are trained. Elizabeth notices that the woman recognizes him and wonders if it could be that he used magic on her. But the guy asks not to worry about it. The heroine is afraid that she might tell the Lich Elders about him. But Ashalot doubts this, because she works in the trade sector and will not do anything that will deprive her of profit. The guy says that the girl needs to be fed properly in order to grow up and offers to spend the night at an inn today. After some time, Ashalot is left alone and speaks to someone using magic. This person is interested in knowing how the guy ended up there. According to him, it takes a long time to explain and asks to read his memories, which makes the interlocutor surprised, because he does not like mental magic. A person learns about the sectarians, also about the fact that the ancient ruins have been occupied, and most importantly, the sorceress with the Eye of Truth. Suddenly, Elizabeth finds herself in an unknown place, which is very dark. The girl wonders where she is, and a certain voice answers, in a place to match a pathetic slave. To a slave? Upon hearing this word, the heroine thinks that she is still in that cave, but she got out of there, and she is no longer a slave. She is the main heroine of The Story of Valfer. Elizabeth asks a voice unknown to her who he is. He thinks it doesn't matter now. The voice is surprised that she seriously believes that she is the one she has written about in the book. In his opinion, it is impossible for some farmer's daughter to become a great sorceress. The girl considers everything said to be untrue because she has the Eye of Truth. However, the voice believes that her gift has already destroyed a lot of people and evil spirits. "No, it wasn't me who killed them!" The young lady screams, covering her ears. The voice asks if she really thinks that she is inside the story, and he wonders what she will do if it turns out to be just her crazy ravings. The girl claims to be Elizabeth Lilly, someone who remains strong even in the face of many adversities, meets the main character, Enoch, and overcomes numerous obstacles. And then she becomes a great sorceress who defeats the dragon. "It's me, Elizabeth Lilly!" The heroine screams and soon wakes up. The room turns out to be dark, and the girl thinks that everything that a certain voice said could be true. She worries that everything around her is just her illusion, and she herself is still inside that cave. But she quickly recovers from these thoughts, because Ashalot saved her from there, but she begins to wonder where he is. In pitch darkness, the girl begins to shout his name, asking him to answer her and not leave him. As soon as he opened the door and Elizabeth saw the guy, she immediately rushed to hug him. She tells how she woke up and everything was very dark, and he wasn't there. The heroine does not like dark places and also does not like to be alone. "Can you stay with me?" asks the terrified girl. Ashalot wonders if she is afraid of him. According to him, he is not as good a person as she thinks. However, Elizabeth is in tears and assures the boy that he is a good person. She remembers how he was in the book, not only a cold-blooded person, but also the only comrade of Enoch who did not expect a reward from him. In addition, when Elizabeth, with whom they did not get along particularly well, was in trouble, he was the first to rush to the rescue. The heroine turned off the path along which the real Elizabeth should have walked. Much of the story will change, however. Ashalot, who saved her, is still with her. The heroine assures that she is not lying, saying that he is truly a good person. Noticing the young lady's persistence, he agrees to stay with her. In the morning, Ashalot thinks about how the girl cried last night. In order for everything to get better, at least one mana ring needs to be restored. Elizabeth wakes up from the words of a certain person who says that Ashalot should have called him earlier, since the baby is in such a state. If he hadn't been here, everything would have turned out sadder, according to him. The guy asks him to stop talking and just heal her. Opening her eyes, the heroine notices a snake in front of her, who asks not to look at her because she has not yet fully recovered. The snake tells her not to worry about anything, saying that she will cure her completely. When she opens her eyes again, many things will change according to her. Suddenly, Elizabeth wakes up in a completely unfamiliar place. Noticing that she has woken up, the snake comes close to the girl. Looking at her, the heroine thinks that she sees something that should be invisible. The snake is surprised that she sees her, thinking that the girl has difficult eyes. The young lady is scared to be around. The snake notices this and thinks it's cute that she is afraid of her. In order not to frighten her, the snake transforms its appearance, becoming human. He says his name, Vasilios, and also that he is a friend to her. He also says that he is going to become her guardian and teacher. The girl is surprised that the snake has just turned into a human. It also seems to her that she has already heard this name. The man asks if he can call her Ellie, noting that she can simply call him Vassal. Suddenly she remembers Vasilios' axiom. He is the head of the Mages Guild and a demon who entered into a contract with the first magician Athanasia. He did not appear in the book, but Ashalot mentioned him. He said that he educates magicians and that he is a pervert who loves to remake the bodies of his students. I woke up then, Elizabeth's savior says, opening the door to the room. The girl immediately rushes to him, and he asks if this damn snake did something to her. She assures that nothing happened. According to Vasil, if someone listened to Ashalot from the outside, they definitely wouldn't understand. He also says that he has already completely corrected Ellie's body. A little later, the heroine asks again about the fact that the man corrected her body. He says that now she does not have a cyst. Her teeth are intact in place of the broken ones, and her stuttering has also disappeared. He also adds that while she was sleeping, they moved her a little. Now she understands why she woke up in a different place. They are located in a town on the border between Alpenia and Holland. Soon they will board an airship and go to Aragald. This is the city of magicians. He also notices that in front of her is the president of the Aragald Association of Magicians, as well as the godparent of Ashalot. Vassal assures that he is not surprised if the guy didn't even introduce himself because he is very quiet. The man also says that the girl will have to stand trial when they arrive in Aragald. This is because she summoned low-level evil spirits according to Vassal. However, he asks not to worry about it because she is a special child. Elizabeth thanks him for the explanation and that he fixed up her body. Calling her cutie, Vassal asks the heroine if she will become his student if she liked the new body. He assures that for this, she just needs to sign on his hand for the teacher-student contract. Ashalot intervenes in this conversation, using magic against the man. Vassal finds this act cruel, explaining that he is simply taking advantage of the opportunity to become Elizabeth's teacher. The guy said that since the treatment is over, the man can simply disappear because his help is no longer needed here. They begin a conversation in which Vassal says that he does not intend to leave, because if he does this, he will not be able to see Ellie for a whole week. Ashalot asks him to die, since he is unable to wait. Suddenly the girl raises her hand and says that she doesn't mind if the snake goes with them. She guesses they are pretty close. Hearing such a statement, Ashalot clearly makes it clear that he does not think so. Elizabeth finds it strange that this might not be the case, since they are chatting casually, and besides, it is his cross. After listening to the girl, Vasil says that he likes her more and more. Once in the city, Elizabeth says that it is more like a fortress. She also notices people who have weapons and wonders why they carry them. Ashalot replies that it's all because of a pile of rotten bones. At first the girl is perplexed by this answer, but then she realizes that he means the Lich Elders. He also says that armed people are either mercenaries or hunters of evil spirits. They make their living by selling the corpses of evil spirits to necromancers from Holland. Noticing that the guy's voice has changed, she wonders if he really hates these people. Ashalot replies that they are not even worthy of his hatred. In the Great Treaty, which dictates the rules for magicians, any actions that provoke magical pollution are prohibited. However, these people do not care about the Great Treaty. They only think about how to fill their pockets by selling holy stones and tours of evil spirits. If they kill a few spirits in a normal region, there won't be any problem. But hunting in a contaminated area is a different matter, according to Wassel. Where the border between Alpenia and Holland lies, there is a highly polluted region called the Great Forest. Not only the Great Treaty, but also the governments of many countries prohibit climbing there. This is because this can cause the level of magical pollution to increase dramatically. But one country still allows hunting in this forest, the notorious Holland. The local necromancers practice magic where corpses are used as fuel, so there are a lot of impatient people there who want to get the corpses of evil spirits at any cost. Hunters have turned the forest into their base and easily earn huge amounts of money by selling their catch. It looks a bit like a trash can full of bugs, according to Ashalot. Evil spirits. Their mere existence pollutes everything around them, emitting negative energy, and the corpses of evil spirits emit even more of this substance. To get rid of negative energy, polluted areas are usually protected, or corpses are simply burned. However, mercenaries and hunters of evil spirits do neither. The reason is simple. The first is too expensive, the second completely deprives them of profit from the sale of corpses. Elizabeth suggests that the guy blew off the head of one of the Lich elders because of what they were doing with the Great Forest. She believes that they wanted to grab more holy stones and the corpses of evil spirits, which is why they broke their promise. The girl remembers that even in the book, it was said that Ashelot fought only with those who went against the Great Treaty. Vassal notes that she said everything right to the point. Calling her smart, he asks if she wants to know anything else. Noticing his past words that it would be bad if people found out that the defender of the Great Treaty in Holland, they are interested in how he is, without hiding his face, suggesting that he used some kind of charm. Vassal says that he used a stealth spell, which causes a malfunction in the brain so that a person cannot identify a certain object. However, it slightly reduced the effect of the spell. Elizabeth is happy that she was right, and the snake is surprised at how much of a genius she is. Ashelot believes that she perceives information very well, and her memory is excellent according to him. The girl thinks this might be annoying, but the guy assures her that everything is fine. Curiosity is a good trait, especially if she wants to become a magician in his opinion. Vassal clings to, if you want, assuring that she will definitely become him. The heroine wonders if she wants to be a magician. After all, a magician is not who she wants to become, but who she should be. Suddenly, Ashelot notices something in the shop and wants to buy it. Vassal wonders how the guy was able to spot another boring battle golem here. Hearing this, Ellie wonders what it means. The seller says that in front of them is a cube golem, which looks like this before activation. The man lets the heroine rub him, and she notices that he is warmer and heavier than he looks. "Just dare to buy this useless junk!" Vassal shouts in rage. Noticing the hairpin, the snake asks Ashelot to buy it for Ellie instead of the golem. The guy thinks that if this thing breaks, the girl might get hurt. However, the seller assures that this will not happen. He says that the hairpin is made of tempered glass, so even if it breaks, it will not fly into large fragments that could injure Ellie. Ashelot asks the heroine if she also wants a hairpin, and she begins to think about it. Without waiting for an answer, the guy buys it and puts it on the girl right away. "Not bad," he says, seeing how it looks on her. Vasil also notices the cuteness in front of his eyes, claiming that the hairpin suits her very well. While Ashelot strokes her, the girl thanks the guy and the snake for everything. When Elizabeth goes to bed, the guy suggests that she take off her hairpin before going to bed, because it will get in the way. But the girl assures that everything is fine. Ashelot asks her to fall asleep, and notes that there is no need to force herself to stay up at night. She says that she tried to sleep, but she still couldn't. He asks why she can't sleep, asking her to tell her if something hurts. But the young lady assures that the matter is different. The girl is worried that suddenly, everything that is happening to her now is just a wonderful dream. "Elizabeth," the guy says, causing her to jump up, all because he called her by name for the first time. Ashelot points out that summoning demons is indeed a crime, but she won't be punished if it wasn't on purpose, so she doesn't need to worry about it. But the heroine assures that she is not worried about it. The guy then asks if it's because she doesn't want to become a magician. Hearing this, the girl screams that she cannot become someone else. Realizing that she got carried away, Elizabeth explains that she is simply worried that she won't be able to do anything else, even if she tries. And since she has been given a talent for magic, she wants to become a sorceress. She recalls how in the book, the heroine made 2 fatal mistakes. The first was an attempt to escape from Ashelot, and the second was the abandonment of the path of a magician in favor of the noble family who adopted her. Unfortunately, these aristocrats turned out to be secret cultists, and Elizabeth was again brainwashed. The young lady asks the guy if he really doesn't want her to become a magician. She thinks that Ashelot never once offered her to become a sorceress. The book said that he only saved her because of the gift. The girl wonders why he didn't try to convince her to become a magician then. She suggests that this may be due to the fact that she did not show her talent as well as in the book. The guy replies that that's not what he meant. He says that once she makes a choice, there will be no turning back. Elizabeth thinks that perhaps the guy thinks that she cannot bear the burden of her own talent. According to her, maybe he is right, because all she does is run away from difficulties. The heroine decides to throw these thoughts out of her head, because she is the same one who was written about in the book. She's not running away from being the main character. She just wants to go down a slightly different path before she meets Enoch. In addition, she likes this Ashelot much more than the one written about in the book. The girl assures that it's okay if there is no turning back. She believes that no matter what she does, as long as she has these eyes, she will still eventually become a sorceress. The guy finds it surprising that neither he nor Vasile told her about the features of her eyes, but she already knows very well what's what. The girl realized that he deliberately did not tell her about the eyes. Bottom line, she just made a mistake. She thinks about how long ago he guessed everything. If he gets disappointed in her because she lied to him and hates him because of it, she will go back to the relationship they had in the book. Ashalot pats the young lady on the head and asks her to take it easy and stop trembling. He doesn't care what she's hiding. The girl asks him if he knows everything and that he read her thoughts using magic. The guy, not knowing what she is trying to say, says that it is not so. He explains that mental magic is not his strong point, but that she simply hid it too poorly. The girl immediately trusted him, even though she was meeting him for the first time, and relied on him as if it were something ordinary for her. That's when he began to suspect that she knew in advance that he would come for her. Since he knew everything, Elizabeth asks why he was so kind to her, but he claims he didn't do anything special. But she assures him that he cared about her, even though he knew she was hiding something from him. Ashalot, hearing this, wonders since when is it a crime to have secrets. He also explains that if this were the case, her ability would not pose any threat to him, so there would be no problem. The guy asks her to go to bed, assuring her that he is not angry with her at all. He also says that tomorrow they will board a flying ship, so she needs to gain strength. The girl notices that he is not lying, because inside his swirls there is peace and quiet. The heroine asks if she can definitely not tell her secret. Ashalot asks her if she really wants this so much, and when Elizabeth shakes her head, he asks her to sleep again. Having fully realized that the guy guessed, she mentally asks for forgiveness for lying to him, but explains that there were reasons for this. Even though she can't say everything right now, the girl still intends to say something. She promises to try so that Ashalot does not regret meeting her. He also asks if he can thank her for pretending like he doesn't know anything. Of course, the guy answers. The next day, they came together to the port of flying ships in Holland. Vassal, before they board, assures them that they will have a great time. However, this seems strange to Elizabeth because they are flying there for her trial. The girl talks with surprise about the first time she sees an air tower with flying ships. They are met by a guy who, for the sake of identification, asks the heroes if they are members of the Aragald Association of Magicians. He says that it is not often that one comes across such amazing stealth magic skills. He recognizes Vassal, but notes that a newcomer would not have a chance. Ashalot asks why the flying ship is still anchored. The man replies that loading is in full swing and asks to follow him, intending to take them to the cabin. The girl asks a question about magic crystals, and their attendant reveals that they call them membranes. They attract objects of a certain size to prevent collisions between flying ships and ensure smooth operation of the air tower. Elizabeth wonders why they don't just land the ships on the ground and why the air tower is needed. Snake notices that this is not the only purpose of the membranes. They also charge the magic crystals on board the flying ships so that they can soar into the air. The heroine notices that this is convenient and is surprised that magicians came up with all this. Vassal says that they shoveled his whole body to make this nonsense according to his words. He also wants to say that if she plans to stop by the workshops in the future, Ashalot interrupts him and tells him to stop chattering. Hearing this, the man who accompanies them feels that his explanation has tired them out. Vassal explains that he is just an illusion created through the magic of communication. Only she and Ashalot can see him. The girl realizes that the man might think that she is chatting to herself. The guy asks the escort to tell him a little about himself, noting that he looks like a battle mage. The man remembered that he had not introduced himself, despite the fact that they would spend 3 days together on board. My name is Mikhail Yulpendis. He is a 5th-class battle mage and the best mage of the 2nd Magic Platoon of the Alpenia Empire. Ashalot asks what the 5th-class mage left on the freighter. He explains that the ship will be carrying experimental military equipment. He is here as an escort. The guy is also interested in what the association told about him. Mikhail tells how they told him that a 7th-class assistant magician needed help finding a ship to Aragald. They also added that this man survived the risky voyage without any problems. They also said that along the way he could leave the mission to him. It looks like he was misled. If Ashalot expected something completely different, he would do everything possible to find them another ship. The guy claims that he understands everything, and the main thing is that they will take them on board. Mikhail believes that there should be no problems. If something goes wrong while sailing, his reward will be doubled. The girl, listening to the conversation, notices that the man said that Ashalot is a 7th-grade magician, and apparently he still doesn't know who he really is. The guy wonders what if he abandons the mission after they set sail. Mikhail assures that in this case, they will take care of everything themselves. The man takes them to a room, which he says they can occupy. Elizabeth is surprised that, according to her, they do not have cabins here, but real rooms. Mikhail intends to leave the heroes, assuring that he will come for them later, and also asks them to rest. When they are alone, Vasil transforms into a human form and asks Ashalot why he is so unsociable. He wonders if he will kill him on the spot if he makes friends with one of the other wizards. "Who would say?" the guy answers. To which the snake explains that there is no point in messing around with those who have no talent. Hearing this, Ashalot looks at Vasil with contempt, which makes him wonder what kind of expression he has. He says that unlike some, he doesn't avoid talking out of laziness. The girl asks the man not to be angry, claiming that he has a heart of gold. From these words, he wonders how one can be so kind, and also cute according to him. He asks her to never change and quickly become a wonderful sorceress. "Yeah, I'll try," the heroine replies. Vasil notices that this was a promise and reminds that a word given to the supreme demon should not be broken. Elizabeth will think about the fact that magicians of the 5th class should be considered quite strong. The book said that they were among the country's elite. Remembering the man's name, she diligently tries to remember if he was mentioned in the book. The girl is distracted from her thoughts by Vasil, who, standing next to the window, asks her to come over. Looking out the window, the heroine notices that they have already set sail. Elizabeth decides that since she can't remember, then he didn't play an important role in the plot, so it's easier to forget. On the first day of their journey on the flying ship, Mikhail introduced them to the crew. They ate delicious food and had a good time walking around the ship. But even while they were sleeping peacefully, the flying ship continued on its way. After some time on board, Elizabeth becomes bored, and Mikhail reads this on the girl's face. He invites them to go out on deck. There's a strong wind blowing through there, but the view, he says, is very beautiful. However, Ashalot rejects this proposal due to the fact that it is too dangerous. The magician says that his heart bleeds when he sees sad children. Taking out the candy, he asks the young lady for forgiveness, knowing that there is nothing to do on board. He treats her to sweets, noting that he bought them for his daughters. But perhaps she wants them too. Elizabeth thinks about the fact that Mikhail looks only 20 years old. "Do you already have children?" The heroine is interested. He explains that he looks older than he looks. Wizards look younger than their years. He is actually 40, and he has long become the father of 2 daughters, who are approximately her age. Mikhail says that the eldest is 7, and the youngest is 5. The girl wonders if they are considered peers, even if she is 10. The man, like everyone else, is surprised by this news. Ashalot makes it clear by his actions that he is waiting for an explanation from the girl. She says she just didn't eat much, but when she was 5, she and her friends looked the same. Mikhail asks not to worry about this, because his daughters were also skinny at first, but now they are the biggest and strongest in the village. They would make wonderful generals, he said. Having heard about this, the heroine begins to compare all the facts, and suddenly she remembers that she knows this story. Servant of the Empire and battle magician, General Yulpendis. Her last name was only mentioned briefly in the book, but she definitely remembers this girl. She volunteered to go to the front to avenge her father, who was killed in Holland by Elder Leech, and sacrificed herself against her sworn enemy. But when exactly will her father die? The girl asks herself. Seeing Elizabeth thoughtful, he asks if everything is okay with her, because she has no face at all. The heroine remembers that they are on Holland's territory, which means that perhaps the man is destined to die today. She clutches Ashalot tighter and tells herself that everything will be fine, because he is nearby. Suddenly, a loud thunder is heard, and the heroes begin to take off. Mikhail realizes that the gravity control has gone wrong, and wonders what is going on. He tells Mr. Wizard that he will run to the chart room and asks the girl to run away to his room. Ashalot grabs the snake, and it begins to scream that it knows nothing. The guy notices that he already knows what he is going to ask. He asks what the centaur Balzac, one of the Lich Elders, left here. Vasil claims to know nothing, saying it is just a coincidence. However, he doesn't think so, because the scum whose head he once blew off attacked the ship as soon as they entered neutral territory. The snake asks him to think that if this pile of bones knew that he was on board, the matter would not be limited to just the destroyed ship. Vassal assures that they first need to get out of here. He explains that if he, as a defender of the treaty, gets involved in a battle between Alpenia and Holland, it will turn into an international problem, and Ellie does not belong here at all. Suddenly, Elizabeth asks him what is going on now, suggesting that something dangerous is happening. Ashelot assures the girl that she is in no danger, because he is nearby. She wonders why the ship was suddenly attacked, not understanding what is happening. However, if Mikhail should die today, the heroine believes that she should have guessed earlier. Suddenly, an ominous voice asks her how she wanted to do this and why remember the death of some minor character. The voice notes that they are at a point when the main story has not even begun. It's just part of the plot, according to him. So be it. The girl thinks she could certainly change something. "Don't make me laugh," says the unknown person upon hearing this. He asks where has it been seen that the main character gets hurt trying to save a minor character. The voice claims that Mikhail is simply destined to die. Elizabeth doesn't think she should turn a blind eye to his death just to advance the plot. The heroine assures Ashelot that everything will be fine with her, so there is no need to run away from the battlefield because of her. She knows that he won't just give up, so she asks the guy Mikhail to help. During a fierce battle, Mikhail notices that the fog is not dissipating. The man shouts at the captain, explaining to him that they need to pick up speed as quickly as possible. If they don't break away from the demon, they are doomed. However, the ship does not move an inch. The general reflects that if it were a mid-level demon, he would not even be able to get close to the ship. And since the ship can't even move, it's a high-class demon. He wonders if they are after experimental equipment. He also notices that the crew is holding together, only thanks to protective magic. But soon it will weaken, and then they are all doomed to death. So be it. But an Imperial warrior cannot die without a fight. And since he will die, Mikhail decides to first burn the demon's eyes to the ground. After his attack, the high-class demon disappears from his sight. After a short silence, the monster appears above Mikhail, and he screams in horror with fear, but suddenly, someone tells him to duck down. The demon is hit by magic of an insane level, and the monster, realizing who it is, shouts out the name of Ashelot. Michael learns the name of the defender of the Great Treaty, whom he did not even notice. But the man wonders why he should help them, fearing that he, too, has infiltrated the ship for the sake of experimental combat equipment. The demon asks the guy what he forgot here. Thinking that he is working for the Empire, the monster tells him to answer his questions. Covering Elizabeth's eyes, he replies that this has nothing to do with the Empire. He just doesn't like them. The demon considers this answer a lie, because they never violated the terms of the Great Treaty. Therefore, he becomes interested in what he doesn't like about them. Thinking that this will pass for the reason, Ashelot explains that it is unpleasant for him to see a creature left without brains talking. "Damn little man!" the demon shouts, after which the guy uses his magic again on him, and he is erased from the face of the earth. Everyone around, as well as the captain of the ship, are horrified by the guy's enormous magic. Mikhail thanks for the help, noting that he could not even think that he would personally meet the 12th student of the Axiom School. However, Ashelot says that this is still the end, and that soon the head of their forces, Centaurus Belzac, will be here. The captain, hearing the name of one of the immortal rulers of Holland, blames Vane for everything. Suddenly, the captain is hit by an automatic spell that goes off whenever he is threatened. He didn't even think that in such a situation, someone would accuse him of being a villain. Mikhail, having understood everything, asks when Balzac's forces will appear here. The guy replies that in 5 minutes. The man thinks about how unconscionable it will be, but he simply has no choice. Otherwise, he may never see his wife and daughters again. Bowing his head, he asks if Ashelot can defeat Balzac's centaur. The Alpenian Imperial Army, and he personally would never forget such a gesture of kindness. If he helps, in return, they will fulfill any request of his that they are able to fulfill. Hearing about this, the guy asks if he knows how to look after children. Mikhail assures that he can do it, and taking care of the girls, according to him, is generally his calling. Ashelot says that he will return for the girl in a week, and he hopes that during this time there will be no problems. He explains to Elizabeth that this man will keep an eye on her for a week, and if she is against it, he can say so. The heroine wonders if he really will have to fight for a whole week. Ashelot explains that fighting the dead is not the same as fighting the living. They will not stop until their vessel of life is destroyed. The girl thinks about the deadline, but she understands that if he does not participate in the battle, Mikhail will probably die. The man wonders why the girl looks at him so strangely, thinking that he is so unreliable for her. Remembering that she still has Vasil, he still agrees to this. Mikhail asks not to worry. He will protect her even at the cost of his life. The guy hopes so, because if something goes wrong, he won't get away with his life. Soaring above the sky, Centaurus Balzac makes himself known, telling everyone that he has arrived. He tells Wayne to come out. The guy who replaces the captain wonders if they will die, because his bride is waiting for him at home. Maybe he'll just refuse, Ashalot thinks. Suddenly, an ominous voice appears again in the girl's head, who is surprised that the guy also has such thoughts. He tells the girl to just nod in response, because people are destined to die anyway. The guy looks at the heroine waiting for an answer, and she assures that everything is fine. Having learned the answer, Ashalot folds up a space of insane proportions, which surprises everyone around him. Mikhail orders the helmsman to quickly steer the ship there. "Wait for me there, Elizabeth," Ashalot says one last time before he is left to fight Centauri Balzac. When the girl is left alone, she asks him to return safe and sound. Everyone thinks that they are now safe, but evil spirits are on the horizon. Mikhail is surprised that even when they jumped a couple of 100 kilometers, the sky is still swarming with them, even here. Now he understands that the Lich Elders are persistent. The boy who replaced the captain runs away in horror, thinking that now is the time to get out of here. Elizabeth wonders why evil spirits are even here. She thought they were safe since Ashalot remained there to defeat the Elder Lich. Suddenly, Mikhail ran up to her and said that she should run. She needs to get on a lifeboat and get as far away from here as possible. He asks a guy named Carmen to take the heroine and put her on a lifeboat. He takes him in his arms and starts to run away, but the girl asks him to stop because she needs to stay. She saw with her own eyes the true names of evil spirits. A voice asks her what the meaning is. Even if she stays here, she won't be of any use. Suddenly, she hears a conversation between the adult Elizabeth and General Yulpendis. Because of this, the heroine finally remembers the name of Mikhail's daughter. "Kylie!" the young lady shouts, using all her strength. She tells Carmen that there is little time left and asks him to just trust her and take him back. This is the only way, according to Elizabeth, that they can save Kylie's dad. Carmen wonders how the heroine knows the name of the general's daughter, but the guy quickly comes to his senses and realizes that now is not the time to think about such trifles. The girl asks why they are still running in the wrong direction, because she can help. Carmen explains that they are military and cannot accept help from civilians. Elizabeth thought that she would finally be useful somewhere, but it looks like that won't be the case. She considers herself guilty, because if she had predicted the attack of Elder Lich a little earlier, everything would not have turned out this way. Suddenly, Vasil asks her if she really can help, and if so, she should just nod. In response, she begins to nod strongly at him, and he says that he will do everything now. He touches Clairmon's head and takes magic, causing him to stand in a daze. Vasil asks not to worry about him and asks to share his plan. Elizabeth screams that everyone on board could die, so they need to do something. But the snake says that it makes no difference to him. Hundreds of thousands of people are born every day, and a child with a unique talent for magic is a real rarity. She is much more valuable to him than these ordinary wizards, so he will not allow her to get involved in anything dangerous. However, even if her idea is sheer madness, if there is even the slightest chance of success, it changes everything. Therefore, he asks to post it, how to deal with this. Elizabeth suggests using her eyes, but Vasil immediately rejects it as she only has 2 mana rings left. According to him, her eye of truth has not gone away, but in her current state, she will be able to discern the names of at most a couple of evil spirits. She doesn't stand a chance against the contract. To use summoning magic, the summoner must overcome 3 stages. The first one is called Challenge. The summoner summons a spirit or demon into their world. The second stage is Naming. The summoner must find the creature's true name or recognize it by giving the spirit or demon a new name. The third stage is Retention. By entering into a contract, the summoner binds the spirit or demon to this world. Once the magician has completed all 3 stages, the summoned one will be able to use his powers in the new world. "I see right through you," Vasil says, exhaling. He notices that these evil spirits are already tied to their world due to the contract with Balzac. He thinks that the girl wants to find out their true names, and then, using mana, intercept the contract and conclude her own. However, according to Vasil, the plan will only work if a strong wizard takes over, and she only has 2 mana rings left. He doesn't think she can do it in this state. Even after she tried to convince him, the snake knows that just using the Eye of Truth will take a ton of mana from her. But Elizabeth says that she knows where to get more. talking about the magic crystal from the bow of the ship. Vasil explains that this will not work because in this case, the ship will fall and they will all die. "The bats!" the girl shouts. The snake realizes that Elizabeth is going to use their ability to fly. He calls this idea wonderful and asks himself if their girl is a genius. Now realizing that the explanation is sufficient, she asks him to hurry up. Vasil says that he will have to keep an eye on Carmen for now. He asks if she can cope with the fact that she herself will need to get to the navigator's office. When the girl makes it clear that she is ready for this, the man lets her go. Meanwhile, Mikhail fights a crowd of bats. "Are you admitting defeat?" the evil spirit in the form of a skull asks him. The demon claims that he will give him the opportunity to experience the flames of Toronto. According to him, it will be a painless death. The man tells him that since he decided to hang noodles on his ears, he should have been told that he would spare his life. Mikhail thinks that he must hold on until the girl is saved. Therefore, he needs to kill as many monsters as possible. Suddenly, the evil spirits stop moving, and Elizabeth comes running to him. Vasil also appears, who did not expect that a simple wizard would be honored with his touch. With the help of mental magic, Mikhail finds out that next to him is a wizard with the Eye of Truth. Mikhail claims that this is just a legend, but Vasil suggests leaving the dispute for a more appropriate time. He notices that the scarecrow will soon come to his senses, which has already discovered an anomaly, but the reason is unknown to him. The skull suggests that the cause of the problem is a small person. The man asks if the girl is sure that the plan will definitely work. She confidently replies that everything will work out. Mikhail thinks that the instinct that protected him from death in countless battles suggests that the heroine is right. Then he finally decides to do this. Lifting the girl in his hand, he tells her to hold on tight. Noticing this, the skull indicates that the person's actions are not recognized. He demands to stop approaching. However, Mikhail, with the help of magic, manages to get past the ominous spirit. When they use the magic crystal, the man creates a magical barrier. He says that he won't keep the bats out for more than 10 minutes. During this time, she must intercept the contract. The girl calls Vasil, who immediately appears in front of her, saying that he will help now. He warns in advance that as soon as he connects her with the crystal, "I will begin to lose my vitality, I know." Elizabeth interrupts. In order for her to quickly absorb mana from the magic crystal, it will briefly change her physique. However, with such a weak level of vitality, he notes that she will only have one chance. Suddenly, Vasil asks if he can improve her brain at the same time, and the girl resolutely replies that it is not necessary. Vasil thinks this answer is rude, but he still likes determined children like her. When Elizabeth begins to absorb huge amounts of mana, she begins to feel pain. There is too much mana pouring into her, but now she will simply release it out. Looking at the bats, she orders them to move away from the protective barrier. The skull says that the small man is a threat and orders the object to be stopped. After this order, the mice again attack the barrier, which Mikhail is trying to hold with all his might. The heroine believes that this demon will lose control of the spirits again. The real Elizabeth Lilly has done this a bunch of times. If the deal is with a demon who is subject to control magic, the first thing you need to do is try to give orders to his monsters, the minions. This way, you can hurt his pride, and during the fight for the right of control, you can be able to intercept his true name. Mikhail screams that he will no longer be able to restrain evil spirits. She asks to wait a little longer, but the demon orders the magic crystal to be destroyed. After a strong and joint attack from the bats, Elizabeth falls off the crystal and falls down. She starts looking for anything. She needs a magic item with the largest mana crystal. Having found the blade, she decides that it is just enough for her. "Your name is Skula!" the heroine screams as she falls down. Elizabeth gives orders to the demon, whose name she has just learned. Hearing the girl, the skull orders the bats to catch her. Having flown up to the happy heroine, he asks her for the full name of the new contractor. Elizabeth asks what he's talking about. "Full name. No understanding reached? Your name." Hearing the girl's words, the spirit says. She gets the idea of what Skula is trying to tell her and tells her what her name is. Having accepted the information, he says that she is recognized as the new official contractor and that the first command has been successfully completed. He requests a new instruction, but she doesn't understand what he means. Skula has recorded weak language skills, but he will improve the situation by starting to set up a new way of using language tokens. The skull again says that he carried out her first order and asks for the next one. Elizabeth tells him to go upstairs first, but she notices that the ship can't stay in the air because she took all the mana from the crystal. At this rate, it will simply collapse and shatter into pieces. The girl demands Skola to make sure the ship does not fall. However, he says that the order is unreasonable. He offers to take Elizabeth to safety. The heroine assures that she must save people. The skull explains that the ship's approximate weight is 3 tons. 247 minions are not capable of supporting such weight. The girl understands that she cannot leave everything like this. She takes Skula by his empty eyes and begins to shake him. He explains that he has already notified her that the order cannot be fulfilled. Elizabeth claims that we can do it. She says he will take care of one half and she will take care of the other half. "We can do anything!" The girl screams and throws Skula up. Using her gift, she gives it to the bats, who keep her from going to the ship. She flies up to Mikhail, who is happy that the baby is safe. Elizabeth jumps into the man's arms, and Vasil also expresses his joy that she is okay. Mikhail asks himself a lot of questions, but the most important one is whether she was able to rewrite the contract. The girl proudly replies that she was able to do it, but she notes that this is not the main thing now, because they need to get back on board. The man agrees with her and offers to run to the lifeboat, but the heroine says no. Once the magic crystal is completely depleted, the lifeboat will also not take off. Elizabeth assures that she is able to prevent the ship from falling. Mikhail first decides to ask how she will do it, but asks her to forget about it and asks what her plan is. She says that first, you need to put the ship in emergency landing mode. This way, they can keep it flying all the way to the ground. But the man notices that there is no mana left at all. The girl says that they will do without mana because she made a contract with the demon. Therefore, according to her, everything will work out. "Okay, I believe in you," Mikhail replies, hearing the little lady's words. But first, they need to find someone on board who knows how to steer the ship. Suddenly, the general is shouted by Carmen, who claims that things are bad. The boy says that the girl he ordered to be sent to the lifeboat has disappeared somewhere. However, the guy standing next to him notices Elizabeth next to Mikhail on the magic crystal. Seeing her, he wonders why he stuck his head out if everything is fine with her. Carmen tries to calm him down, saying that he didn't lie and that she really disappeared. Since everything is fine with the girl, the boy thinks it's time to move on. But Mikhail approaches him, who asks him that he knows how to control a ship. The guy wonders what he is doing here, noticing that in front of him is an ordinary civilian. He has already guided the ship through the portal, and, in his opinion, it can now go in all 4 directions. The general says that they need to put the ship into emergency landing mode. And with the words that they are going back to the navigation room, he drags him along. The boy asks his wife for forgiveness, feeling that he most likely will not return to her. The heroine tells Skull that he is doing a great job and demands that he continue to keep the ship in the air, and she will make him take off. Skull is surprised that the girl is human, noting that her talent for control surpasses his. He doesn't understand this. In his opinion, an ordinary person cannot do this. However, the young lady tells him that everything is possible because she is Elizabeth Lilly. The guy at the helm notices that they have stopped, and now all they have to do is carefully land the ship on the ground. The girl is thinking about the fact that she needs to hold out just a little bit, but she feels bad and falls into Vasil's arms. He says that she can let the ship go because she already helped them a lot. Everyone will survive, except those who are unlucky enough to fall from the ship. The heroine assures that she is not going to let go. Snake wonders why all talented children are so stubborn. Then, Vasil is going to use magic to at least take away her pain, for which the young lady thanks him. Snake is surprised how she was able to do something like this at such a young age. Elizabeth herself does not understand how she managed to conclude a contract with the demon. Suddenly, she asks herself whether it is possible to use her powers so thoughtlessly. Taking over a contract from others is prohibited by the Great Treaty. The girl shares that she has a request to Vasil. He replies that he will do anything for her. The heroine notices that she has entered into a contract with Skola and asks to keep this a secret from Ashalot. She is sure that he doesn't need unnecessary problems either. Therefore, he asks you to promise that he will not tell him anything. Suddenly, the girl begins to close her eyes, and Mikhail and Vasil shout out to her. Suddenly, Elizabeth appears in a strange place where she sees lights, assuming that it is Skola and the bats. She also sees a thread, which is proof that she made a contract with the demon through her true name. The girl thinks this is strange, because she doesn't understand how she knows all this. She also saw someone else's thread, which indicates a contract with the previous owner, which means it has not yet been broken. Elizabeth realizes that Skola cannot understand who its current owner is, and decides that the best option would be to cut off someone else's thread. However, the voice of Centauri Balkas suddenly appears. He also recognized the girl who was saved by Ashalot. The heroine thinks that he felt someone tampering with the contract. Because of this, he was able to invade her consciousness. Elder Lich wonders how one of the mortals was able to intercept his contract. The villain immediately realizes that in front of him is a sorceress with the Eye of Truth. Now Balkaz understands why Ashalot came to these lands. He believes that if he subjugates the magician with the Eye of Truth, then Vayne will no longer be able to interfere with him. The girl demands not to touch her consciousness, and suddenly shouts about how dare the pathetic necromancer get into her head. She wonders what just happened, wondering what she was just thinking. But there is nothing strange in such thoughts. She is Elizabeth Lilly, a brilliant sorceress and mistress of her destiny. The centaur notices that this is not at all like the mind of a child. Ashalot suddenly appears and reminds Balkaz that he is in no position to take his eyes off his opponent. Based on this, he believes that he really longs for death. The villain wonders how the guy was able to penetrate his mind. Vayne demands that he stop cracking his knuckles, assuring him that everything will end as soon as he blows up this place. Elizabeth realizes that at this rate, her consciousness will also be affected by the explosion and asks someone to help her. Suddenly, a shadow grabs her by the hand, leading her away from the epicenter of the explosion. An unknown person suggests that it is too early for them to get to know each other. Elizabeth realizes that this is a voice that constantly talks to her. She also notices that it is similar to her own. But the girl thinks that it is not she who is saying these words. They are coming from somewhere inside. The unknown person repeats that the time has not yet come. The voice explains that she doesn't need to know this yet, so she asks her to curb her curiosity. He also assures that there is nothing to worry about, noting that she still has one more chance. The heroine is perplexed as to why her body suddenly became so big, since she is only 10. However, she claims to herself that she is over 100 years old. She wonders why she suddenly imagines herself as a child. The girl is on board a Continental Union warship. She is Elizabeth Lilly, brilliant sorceress, lord of 7 demons, heroine who defeated the dragon, ruler of the Alpenia Empire, and head of the Valfra Continental Union. However, despite all these big titles, she is afraid to fight him. The heroine's summoner, the horseman of the dawn Lucifer, turns to her, asking if the girl has changed her mind. She assures him that this is not so, saying that she has nowhere to retreat. She intends to get to Turris Tempestus, the Tower of the Storm, the last stronghold of humanity, the castle of the first magician Athanasia. Once upon a time, she wanted to be on top of it. The heroine orders Lucifer to immediately destroy the barrier. Well, let's go, Madam Brilliant Sorceress. Having successfully completed the assignment, the boy asks. Ignoring Lucifer, the girl tells Enoch to be on his guard. The man wonders if they will really go there. What? Do you want me to go alone? Elizabeth answers. Enoch assures that this is not so, and if she decides to do this, it is his duty to readily follow her. Along the way, the man, thanks to his weapons and excellent skill, deals with the evil golems. However, this is not enough, and they are surrounded. The heroine says that if they were spirits, they could easily intercept the contract. Suddenly she summons Azazel, who kills many golems with his appearance. The conscript asks the girl to move forward, assuring that he will soon catch up with her. Breaking through to the top, Elizabeth assures herself that they can still make it, and she only has a little time left. Rising to the very top of the tower, she shouts to Ashalot, who notices that the girl is late. The first magician of history and sorceress with the Eye of Truth, Athanasia Axiom. She led the human race to victory in the Great War against demons and evil spirits 300 years ago. Athanasia installed a protective barrier at the top of the storm tower to protect the world from the invasion of evil spirits, whose power surpasses that of the supreme demons. However, demons and evil spirits, in whom the universe itself has a thirst for destruction, did not stop trying to achieve their goal. Elizabeth approaches Ashalot and reminds him that he promised that he would give her another chance and that he would wait. However, the guy replies that he couldn't wait any longer. Destroying the protective barrier is a cherished dream, according to him. I'm not talking to you, the girl says with contempt. The heroine asks how long he is going to hide behind the dragon. One day they finally found a suitable method and united into a demon colonizer, Dragon. Unlike other demons, the dragon is a special entity that is capable of absorbing weaker evil spirits through touch. As time passed, the dragon absorbed more and more entities and became incomparably stronger until Elizabeth managed to seal it after the battle. However, one of the supreme demons who entered into a contract with Athanasia removed the seal from the dragon. "Are you serious, poor Elizabeth?" asks Ashalot. He reminds that the entities that the dragon has absorbed become one with it. The guy wonders if she really thought that the little man they were locked inside would be able to retain his consciousness forever. He advises her to forget about her fruitless dreams. According to him, it is better for her to obediently watch as they get closer and closer to the fulfillment of their desire. Turning to Ashalot, the girl asks how long he plans to paw her with his blood-smeared hands. Some people think it's naive that Elizabeth still hopes that the guy is alive. He understands that love is a strange human feeling, prone to stupidity. Suddenly, Ashalot's body shudders for an unknown reason. The one who seized control over him does not believe that the pathetic half-breed is capable of something like that. There is deathly silence, and Elizabeth wonders if Ashalot has managed to regain control of himself. Noticing his facial expression, she is convinced that Vane has returned. Immediately after this, the girl punches the guy in the face. He says that with such a small hand, she should have slapped him. She takes his advice and does exactly what he just said. After the slap, Ashalot claims that it was much more than the first time. The dragon, freed from captivity, immediately absorbed the crystal of the supreme demon and instantly turned this world into hell. The heroine asks whether the guy thinks that only he was hurt, assuring that after 2 blows, she does not feel her hand. Elizabeth asks why he didn't wait, and why he lied about giving her one last chance. She notes that Ashalot said that he could hold out for another 100 years. She also remembers that he promised that he would wait until she found another way out. Athanasia imprisoned the dragon inside the body of her student, Ashalot, so that there would be time to redraw the protective barrier and then send all entities of the level of the supreme demon to hell. However, in order to successfully change the barrier, she had to sacrifice herself. Even if Ashalot dies after her mentor, Elizabeth, the sorceress with the Eye of Truth, will be able to become the guardian of the protective barrier and protect humanity. All the magicians agreed with Athanasia's decision, but the girl herself does not want such an ending. She wonders why Ashalot was chosen for this role and why he will be expelled from their world. The guy says that all this will not happen to him. Once he crosses the border of the underworld, his consciousness will be erased and he will die. The heroine asks if this really suits him, and is he really satisfied with the life in which he was used until his death only because he is a half-demon. Ashalot explains that the process of erasing consciousness has accelerated, and he could have lasted another year at most, so he decided to end it while he remains himself. The guy also notices that the mentor agreed that it would be better this way. His consciousness was already almost erased while he was waging an internal struggle with the dragon to come here and then improve the protective barrier. Ashalot believes that the girl is being too naive, thinking that she can save everyone. However, Elizabeth assures that she does not want to save everyone. It is enough for her to save him. She thinks it was stupid to hope that he would listen to her. The guy wonders what the heroine is up to. The girl hopes that she will not have to be expelled from this world. "If I rewrite it again," shouts the brilliant sorceress, preparing everything for the spell. Ashalot reminds the girl that she is one of the guardians of their world, so she wonders if it is possible to do this. However, she clarifies that she never said she wanted to be Axiom's successor. She never even had such a thought. She only wanted one thing: become stronger and escape from your tormentors. She also wanted to be free, but even though she gained enormous power, her desire was never fulfilled. The reason for this, in her opinion, is the sins that she took on her soul to go so far. That's why she kept her displeasure to herself until now. She wanted to fully pay for her sins, gain freedom, and then improve relationships that had not worked out from the very beginning. "I will save you!" Elizabeth shouts, sharing her goal with Ashalot. The guy is surprised that she's going to turn back time just for this, but he doesn't understand what the point is, because, according to him, history will repeat itself again. The heroine agrees with him, but asks what if she remembers everything. Ashalot wonders if she will be able to retain her memories when she rewinds time. "And this is my concern," Enoch assures, noting that they have not seen each other for a long time. The warrior says that they have just finished dealing with the crowd of golems. Vane is surprised that Silas is also taking part in this madness, but he notices that the guy knows that he cannot go against Elizabeth. Enoch asks him if he remembers his ability, memory transfer, a rare gift possessed by members of the imperial family. A person can use it only once in his life. With this ability, emperors passed on their titles to their successors. Ashalot notes that if the guy spends this gift now, he will not be able to pass on his own wisdom to his heirs. Enoch is sorry that this will happen, but according to him, the heir must become a worthy ruler on his own. As Elizabeth begins to rewrite history, The past and future will momentarily intersect. He will understand this moment and pass on his memories. His memory will pass on to Elizabeth from the past. However, Ashalot is not sure that the guy will be able to pull this off in just about a second. Enoch says that he had a hand in ensuring that none of the memories were lost. He compressed them into plain text so that Elizabeth would get only the most important things. Now his memory is like an ordinary book. Ashalot calls him a bastard and believes that the guy is completely crazy. "No, I just fell in love," Enoch responds to the words he heard. Even if she turns back time, Ashalot wonders how she will stop the great demon from betraying them. The girl is not sure that everything will work out, but she will try anyway, because she is Elizabeth Lilly. She knows that she is behaving stupidly, and there will definitely not be any reward at the end of the road. And he already knows how it will all end. Her special attitude towards him and his special attitude towards her will always have different reasons. Because from their very first meeting, everything went wrong. Even if she goes back in time, nothing will change according to her. After all, she will make the same decisions as before. Suddenly the dragon grabs her hand and says that he sensed her despair. Having heard her true hopes and desires, he asks if the heroine would like to enter into a contract with him, claiming that she will definitely get what she wants. In response, she demands not to make her laugh, wondering who will fall for his tricks. "You," the dragon answers, "because the supreme demon who betrayed them is—" Suddenly, Elizabeth wakes up from a long sleep. The girl thinks that she dreamed of Ashalot, but the strange thing is that she remembers almost nothing. But even everything that happened before she fell asleep seems unreal to her. Wondering where she is, someone tells her that her awakening is successful and that her consciousness has been restored. By her strange manner of speech, she recognizes Skull. He confirms that this is the demon with whom she entered into a contract and that, in essence, no deviations have occurred. Elizabeth wonders when he managed to turn into a cat. Skull explains that body grab is one of his skills. To hide one's essence, he said, disguise is necessary. He reveals that the skull was a cover based on the preferences of the past contractor. The appearance of a new one required updating the camouflage. The girl also likes the cat more than the skull. Suddenly, a woman comes into their room and notices that the heroine has woken up. "Did you sleep well, Elizabeth?" An unknown person asks the little girl.